Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good day wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the next episode of No Dice, No Glory. Sponsored by our jobs that actually pay us money, we're coming to you not at all live from an abandoned arms factory deep under a mountain in West Virginia. We are proud to proffer to you the finest in wargaming coverage. Without any further ado, let's get this show on the road.
Hey, well, thank you, Sean. And once again, this is No Dice, No Glory, and we're on the road at Captain Chuck's Comics in Essex, Maryland for a bolt action tournament. I'm here joined by
James Carroll.
And
Matt Karpus.
And Matt is our tournament organizer today, and we're here playing a little
Bolt Action, second edition.
Bolt Action, second edition. So Matt arranged all this fun, and I got to tell you, I had a good time, and we're not even done yet.
I am glad to hear that
Yeah.
because it's been fun putting this together.
And it really has. So let's look at, everybody here got a sprue.
Yep.
Tell us what everybody here got today.
So just for walking in, for the door prizes, everyone got to pull 2 random D6s. For Warlord's Nation Dice, as well as 1 sprue of their choice of Americans, Winter Germans, or DAC.
DAC, which is Africa Corps?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not for people from North Dakota, as your father and I are used to. I'm looking at Carroll Jr. over here. He plays DAX. And, your father loved North Dakota. I don't care what he tells you. He had a good time up there. And then everybody, Warlord came and chipped in. Once again, we have to thank my BFF, and soon to be your BFF, John Russell, who is in California doing Bolt Action Korea today and yesterday. He gave prizes for first or third. He gave everybody here a discount, or his love. So, tell me a little bit about the store and about your gaming community here.
So the store has been in business for over 30 years.
30 years.
It's a comic book store first, and that's the origin. And they started doing board games and miniature games as a secondary. And as far as the group here, a lot of playing going on during Fridays, and during the week, some role-playing games in the game room. And we have a game room that's associated next to the store,
right? Which
gives a little privacy, which is really nice.
I'm going to say this, and some people may take it the wrong way. It's a very intimate room here. It has 5 6x4 tables and a 4x4, and then you were saying you could jam another one in here.
We could, technically.
That would be a lot. And the tables were beautiful. So let me explain something, too. And this is why I was getting excited about this, because you kept doing what some TOs don't do anymore, and is look at this terrain I'm making, look at these tables, and you designed your own missions for today.
I did. So the terrain, when I set out to do this, we have a very large 40K gaming community.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So it's not bolt action suitable. So I decided to give myself a good time limit, because when I have a deadline, I do better.
Okay.
So I gave myself 2 weeks to make 3 tables worth of terrain.
And you didn't ask any of us to bring terrain?
No.
Which we could have done. But, no, I appreciate that. And it was, I'll tell you what, let's talk about this game, and then let's talk to the younger, smarter Carroll here. How many times have you played this game? First of all, tell us how old you are.
I'm 17, and I've probably only played this game about 5 times.
I'd like to see some ID. Okay, so you're 17 5 times. Who got you into this game?
Well, first me and my dad, we would come back from my grandma's house, and then we saw...
Where does Grandma live?
New Jersey.
That's right, Paramus, New Jersey. Yeah, scary how I know that.
Please stop stalking me.
Yeah. Okay, no, I can't promise that.
And so, we were on our way back, and we saw Flames of War, and then the miniatures were so small, but we liked the tank aspect, and then we saw other people playing bolt action, and the miniatures were actually bigger, and I like the aspect of both units working together.
We have to keep pushing the microphone into him. People can't see I'm giving them the hey yell. So you guys were attracted to the size before the rules.
Yes.
And so far, 5 games into it. What are you thinking so far? Is this something you're going to stick with?
Actually, yes. I just have to develop a better strategy than the one I currently have.
You know, and that's interesting. Let's talk about that here for a second. The thing is about these strategies, how many missions are in this game? I believe there's 12 or
And
8.
The scenario book, I think there's 12 in the core rule book,
Right.
and they're divided up 6 in attacker defender and 6 battle.
And then we played his today, which, if with your permission, I would love to throw on No Dice, No Glory, because I thought these were interesting and innovative, and I think other people will like them if that's okay. But one of the things about strategy is it's with a game like this, you don't know what mission you're going to hit. And I'm asking you guys because I could be totally wrong here. It's to me, I think knowing your force and what your force can do in every situation, I think becomes more important in these games. And you play other games with multiple missions. What do you guys think?
I kind of agree with that because you could have one strategy and then you can get a scenario which is not fit for your units that you have. So it's always good to have like a cross multitasking unit.
Yeah. Matt, what are you thinking of this?
All the time. You have to play to your strengths in any game, because if you're not playing to what you're good at, then you're going to be out in the middle of the wind.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's interesting, and it's gamers are like, what's the best force? And I always say, well, tell me your playing style. And a lot of players can play games for years and don't know their playing style. And Matt, you play Armada. Knowing your playing style in that game is one of the keys, in my opinion, to that game.
It is. And one of the things I appreciate about Bolt Action is it has that ability to whatever you want. Whatever your playing style, you can probably find a force within any nationality to build what you like.
What do you normally play?
I usually play Germans because almost everyone in the area plays Allies.
Oh.
But I do have Americans as well, and I really like the Americans moving and shooting.
Yeah, that was pretty bad today. So you hit me with some Americans today, right?
Yes.
I played 2 American lists so far. And I didn't know, once again, my experience in this game is not much more than yours. I've watched more games, I think, than most people I know, but playing-wise, I didn't know the Americans. I know in other games they could do really neat things. I didn't know about they can move and shoot that well. So they're pretty good. And then Matt was saying, well, the British, people think the British are broken. Well, from playing the British a lot, I don't see that, but maybe I'm not. I'm an average player.
Okay, hold on there. 1 free order dice, that's 100 point to everyone else. 1 free order dice.
But if you see,
That can take out several units.
Or pin them to death.
Yeah, okay, that's true, but if you're still a lousy player, I don't care if you're playing with steroid Brits, you're still, it's...
You could be a lousy player, but have a good hand for rolling, and you can still kill everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
I did see his rolls on yours.
I had
2 out of 10.
I had really good rolls on him, though, but he got a mortar shot on me. First round, a 6, right on my 6-pounder. And that 6-pounder was... the 6-pounder took out 1 Jeep today. And you said your tank has done nothing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a tank game.
Yeah.
It's infantry first.
Oh, it
Bolt
is.
action is always infantry first.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get used to that fact because bolt action is normally the other... sorry, not bolt action. Flames of War is mostly tank.
Yeah,
My
it's a
experience.
tank-heavy game, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's what I like about this. There's a little combined arms, but it's really hard to take a unit where you get 1 die.
Yeah.
And you get maybe 4 shots.
Yeah, because, I took my Churchill today because I painted it, and I just love the Churchill. It's a beautiful tank. And I'm like, okay, I can only hit 1 target with 1 shot. And that, it's a lot different than every other game where I'm shooting a tank platoon, and I may be getting 16 shots, 8 shots. So it's a little different, and I kind of like that about this. And then something I said earlier, and then Steve Murga, who's here, disagreed with me, that in other games, if you make a mistake, you cannot come back from it. In this game, it's harder to come back from a mistake, but I think you can, a little bit better than most other games.
I think one of the things, though, is what I saw a couple times on the first 2 rounds on the tables, people forgot the objective. They started going for bloodlust.
Did I mention that to him? What did I say to you? I said, what did you forget?
Go for the objective.
Go for the objective.
And see, for Armada, And another game I've played around with Batman, it's objective first. If you're not playing the objective, you're not got good chances.
Yeah. No, it's right. I'm telling you. So Steve and I played a tune-up game last week. The game does come back to you. I just think this is a really good game. So how do we get more folks out there playing this, especially in this area? And you know who I'm talking to, Cato. Stephen Lee. He hates when we mention him, but we always do. Yeah. I mean, how do we get more players back into this with Korea coming out, with some of the Pacific books? Like, I think Bolt Action was hot, and then it was quiet for a while. How do we get it hot again?
You want to go? Okay, how about this? I'll say what I see as an older gamer. You tell me what you see as a younger gamer. Okay. Because as an older gamer, we had this wonderful thing called Games Workshop. Couldn't do anything right. And they were scaring off a lot of gamers.
Okay.
And now that they got their act together again, they have a huge appeal, and people aren't looking for a game that makes sense. So, especially up here, Games Workshop comes out with something, I'll take 2 of that, please.
Yeah.
That's what some of our gamers are doing. And one of the ones suffering the worst is Privateer Press and War Machine and Hordes.
Yeah.
They have drastically lost floods of people.
I have not played any of their games, but I've only heard good things about their games.
The game's interesting. I've played it a couple times. I've had a couple guys demo it, but then it gets, to me, some of the things I can do doesn't make sense, but I can do it because the game lets me. And like one example is I can push my own guys around, which is supposed to be a harmful act of attacking, but I'm using to my benefit for maneuvering. And it's like, So that's one of the things that they're doing their thing. Games Workshop is back on their game.
Yeah, they are. And they know that they're taking players back. Just last year, going to Nova Open, seeing all the guys I knew from Flames that were playing other games. I mean, it's hard. So here we have a 17-year-old, impressionable millennial. Actually, you're a post-millennial. How would you get your friends to play this game other than coercion?
Actually, I have some friends at my school who've actually played, and there's several other kids at my school that I talk to that really like World War II, and we normally geek out talking about it. And so I told them about this, and they actually jumped on it because it was like a more realistic World War II game.
Where are they today?
They're at home either doing...
They're at home?
Yes.
Well, if you release their address on this podcast, people will go visit them. Do you want to give a shout-out to any of them?
No.
Just mention their names, just their first names.
So Steven and that was...
Steven?
Yeah.
All right, so Steven has to listen to the podcast.
Okay.
So we cannot curse anymore, because Steven's 17 as well. But do you like historical games as opposed to fantasy, and why?
I like the historical ones better because I can easier grasp my mind around other than some of the games where it's like, oh, this guy has a force field and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of fantasy versus reality.
Yeah.
What got you into this game, Matt?
I got back into miniatures. I was doing Armada. I didn't like X-Wing, and I didn't want to do 40K. I just did not like the You Go, I Go system. I came across Bolt Action's unique initiative turn, and that sold me with Warlord's thinking. I love that.
So let's talk about that, because that is common in a lot of Warlord games. The first thing I hear from players, first of all, the people that don't play this game will bash it just because that's what gamers do. I don't know if you knew that. Like, they don't know anything, they'll bash it, just how it is. They don't like that. I don't see it as a problem. I kind of dig that. It incorporates fog of war and other stuff. What do you guys think of that?
I actually kind of like this style because I've heard people say it, and I agree with it. And like either you go and I go, if you mess up in the setup phase, you can be destroyed easily. But But with this one, you can easily come back from a mistake, or someone can make a mistake that you can exploit.
Yeah, I mean, what's your jam on this? What would you rather? Why do you like the dice pull so much?
I like it because it's random. It is what happens in real life. You never always know I can do this.
It's fog of war. You see Steve Murga, who we'll have on eventually here. Steve, he doesn't like that. Yeah. Yeah. And Steve's like, he wants to know what turn you're working on, Steve. Yeah, what turn we're working on, Steve? Huh? Because you don't want to now, this is going to go out, and, I'm going to get Mike Tunes to listen to this, and he's going to be like, Murga, man, what's wrong with him? So, Steve, you don't like that. We can talk about that in a minute. We'll wait till you finish your game. So the other one, too, is, Glenn Goddard, Triple G, big friend of the show. He's been on a bunch of times. I said, hey, I'm playing Bolt Action on Saturday, and he does his tank porn thing. It's not what you think.
Yeah.
And he said, this is 2 beer and pretzels. I don't see that at all. I don't think, first of all these games are beer and pretzels because nobody actually gets hurt. But I would say Flames and Team Yankee are just as much beer and pretzels. It's that one mechanic that turns guys off, and I don't get it.
It's the unknown.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so I do a lot of board games too, and there's the Ameritrash, and then there's the Euro game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes people want too much skill.
Right.
They want to know exactly what's going to happen so I can predict, and it's too much chess. It's too chess-like.
Yeah.
And I think I'll take some randomness in my dice rolls, but I don't want to have to guess when I'm moving.
Yeah. The other one, too, is I noticed, and maybe this is American gamers, is in a game, we're not beating up on Flames of War, but your opponent can really take advantage of a mistake in that game. In this game, because of that randomness, they may not be able to. Like leaving my 6-pounder exposed out there because I kept drawing more activation dice. He wasn't able to get shots on it, and I was able to move my guys around a little bit.
So the biggest plus is also the biggest con when we are attacked as far as bolt action goes, which is that initiative bag.
Yeah.
But what's your second favorite part of the game?
Mine?
I know what mine is.
I am a stumped. I can't even think what my second favorite part would be. And I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I like about it. I love list building. I love making creative lists, which is not part of the game. It's part of the hobby.
But any game has that.
Every game, some games don't have it as great.
But most games have it.
Yeah. So what is your second favorite?
Pins. It's a full strategy to
It
itself
is.
that most games do not take into account.
Yeah, and when we were playing, I said, well, they're pinned. No, they're not really pinned. They just add more pin markers. It's interesting that you say that. And we threw something up at the No Dice, No Glory. We have our own little Facebook private thing. And there was Rand did a whole series, a study, and I can send you guys. And if you PM me, I'll send it to you too, about morale and cohesion in war games. And this is for the DoD. And they listed Bolt Action as one of the games because it reflects that very well. And you stumped me, my man. But that is something else I like about it. But that scares players away.
But it's the fact that one dice roll, the randomness factor that you can't control.
Right.
And these guys are veterans. They're almost guaranteed to pass. I got my lieutenant here. Oh, crap. I just rolled a 12. Oh, wait a minute. They're shooting at my own guys. Oh, this is going bad to worse.
I had 2 boxcars today against Chris Fretz and Felt. That's it, sorry. And, it's funny. He's an old Flames of War guy. And twice I ran away. Whew. I'm glad I didn't shoot myself. But, yeah, I mean, there's so much about this game I like. But I notice that guys when they get used to playing other games. So, and you were doing this and Chris was doing this. Yeah, so, okay, it's a hit, it's a 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you kept saying what Chris kept saying. But these guys are veterans. All right, well, they'll die less. But even if they're veterans or not, veterans die slower, but they take as many pins as anybody else.
So for my...
Not if they're paratroopers.
Well, you say that, but if I roll a 12 as a paratrooper and I'm stubborn, I'm still having a chance of running away.
Yeah.
Just because... But the other fact is, the pin simulates the fact that they're getting shot at and they're ducking for cover. So it impacts how well you shoot back.
Yeah.
In my first game, I had Rangers flanking me on each flank. 1 unit of Rangers. Vets coming up. And after the initial first round, they had 3 to 5, then 6 pins on them. And his choices were either to go down to avoid the chance of getting more pins or rally, but then I was just going to shoot him up again.
Yeah.
It took a lot of fire, but that instantly stopped his rapid advance, and he didn't last.
Which is maybe the third thing I'm going to say I like about this game is weight of firepower. You could tweak that within your platoons, and it's so important in this game of how you arm them, where other games, it's a rifle machine gun team, it's this. This, you can make like my Polish Paras are mostly for assault, and my Canadian infantry squads are mostly rifles and Bren guns, fire and maneuver. Other games, you don't get that.
And before anyone else starts screaming at the podcast, yes, there are certain things in this game system, if you know it, are mechanically what they are, such as cavalry or that Stuart with all the machine guns.
The Death Star.
But at the end of the day, you can just have fun. There's people I've played with, and they will spend part of their game arguing about what the guns did in reality, and it's a rule system. It's just a rule system.
I mean, other than Murga, nobody here argued today.
But wait a minute, he's still playing. He's still playing.
Look at the look I'm getting from him. You know, next game we have to make sure he plays somebody without the last name of Carroll.
Oh, by the way, on the track of this podcast, he's also probably the only one in both of his games assaulting vehicles with infantry, not just once, twice, 3, maybe even 4 times.
And it works.
And it works?
He took out most of my vehicles just from assaulting, not even his tank.
Man, I'll tell you. And I got to drive home with him. I hope he's not egotistical. I guess we get to find out.
Too late.
Yeah, it's too late. But, yeah, I like this game. I wish there was something we could pull more people in it. I think the big problem, too, is there's so many good games. You said you and your dad wanted to do World War II. And you picked this mostly because of the models. There's just so many good games that are out there now that folks can play. You know, and you sent me we were talking on Facebook, and you said something about Omni Gaming. I am probably the worst at that. How many other games do you play?
This is the only miniature game I actually play.
Stay with that. What about you?
I have, as we talked earlier, I have a massive board game collection. I have role-playing D&D. I have BattleTech system for miniatures. I have probably, I would say, about 6 different miniature systems in my house that I've assembled.
And, you know, we met his lovely family today. Very nice kids. And, you know, his wife seems to be okay with that. So we'll see you in the gaming scene for quite some time.
Yes, because she knows, and it's great having a spouse that understands who you are and where you get your energy from.
You need to write this down.
So, and it's reciprocated both ways, knowing what fills them. Because she said something to me while I was going through this 2-week period that I didn't even think about. She goes, "You like building the terrain better than painting your miniatures." I'm like, "I don't think so." And then after a day, I'm like, "No, you're right. I enjoy the Lego aspect. The building, making something out of nothing."
I've been building the terrain lately, and I'm really enjoying that because I could go online and I could see a picture, and I'm like, I'm going to try to do that. So I think she's right. Now, does she game? Because we said something about her playing war games, and she says women don't war game. And I beg to differ. We have 2 members of our staff that play war games. The girls in your high school war game.
I don't have any girls in my high school.
Well, there you go.
That's a different problem.
That's a different problem. It's good on your dad for doing that, though. Congratulations. But, it's...
Yeah, good job, Dad.
Yeah, he's going to hear this.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a secret. Dad. English is not a secret language. Yeah, you're not listening to this? I would listen to it. You can play parts of it at his wedding. So, no, I think it's important, to get other people out. I wish there was more. We just picked up one of our writers, Julie Ozinski, and she plays bolt action. And I said, you please write up your experiences of going to your first tournament. And it's just interesting and it's different. But I think that's fun. It's a lot of fun aspects. So, what are we going to do next here? You see, I'm tired from playing 2 games. Normally, when I do this, I'm the TO, and I'm well rested and I have my talking points down, or I'm sitting at home in my easy chair. But we need to do this every quarter.
So I've done some stuff for Armada, and The quarterly thing is what people feel like they want to travel for.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I did 2 game days. I advertised them the same way I did now, and I got very little feedback regionally. But as soon as I slap tournament on it, I have people coming from New Jersey, PA,
Oh, yeah.
communicating, oh, wait a minute, this is awesome, but the date doesn't work.
Right.
So it really is a sad fact that it's like, I do have a lot. I have a whole lot of things I'm inactive with the kids. So it's like, well, it's got to work on my schedule.
Right.
But I'm really happy because we had 8 players at one point.
Yeah, we did.
So for what the turnout was, I'm very hopeful. And I think there's pockets of people out there. And I'm telling you, check out. Make sure you're checking on the Facebook Bold Action. If you're in the Mid-Atlantic region, check out Bold Action Nova. That has a sub Facebook group. And it's out there.
And if you guys are organizing tournaments, hit us up at No Dice, No Glory. One of the things that we're good at is finding gamers and getting them tournaments, getting them events. Like we did 2 events in Iowa, of all places. Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
It's crazy, because we have guys out in the Midwest and, guys all over. But, if you guys live in an area and it's near somewhere in the Mid-Atlantic, give us a yell. Matt, myself, some of these other crazy characters here will come out and we'll run this game for you. Or maybe get John Russell to come out. And, the first Warlord store USA is within driving distance of us.
Where's that going to be?
Mythicos Games. And those guys are awesome to work with. I'm excited about that. And our own chairborne Tom Mullane was out there already now twice. Now, it's a hall, but it's near your grandmother's house. And he's shaking his head yes. They can't see the head shakes on podcasts. But more folks need to be playing this game. I really think now with Korea, it's different. And it may not be your itch. But if you are interested in historical games, World War II, check this game out. I don't see why people have been turned off by some of the negative things. And the other one is, it's okay not to like a game, but I will respect you more if you don't like it after you've tried it.
The only thing that I would say, and Warlord's doing it, I don't know how much of this is strategic, is Infinity Games Workshop, we got to release a month.
Yeah.
Warlord,
yeah.
We got what we have. We know what vehicles are out there, and it's really hard. But Warlord is bringing out new content and campaign books. They're putting some units out there, and there is a ceiling. And Armada has the same ceiling because Armada just released 2 ships, for example, and people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
Did you read the books? What books? Then you don't know what that ship is.
I think it's kind of neat. And it's like you play Cruel Seas too.
I have Cruel Seas. I really like it. If you want to talk about a beer and pretzels game, I think that is a beer and pretzels
That
game.
is like I'm not going to say penultimate because that means next to last, but that is like the ultimate beer and pretzels game. And I'm a Navy grog. I was never in the Navy, but I like battleships. And I have the Japanese box, the starter box, and the U.S. box, and I have it. But it's nothing's waking me up at night saying, go play this game again. And I told John that. I said, it's a good game. It's just I don't have time for another major game to get into.
I agree with you. My son really likes the ships. So
he did. And make sure I send you. I have some sprues for him. I should have brought today.
So he really likes that. He really likes tanks. But the thing about Cruel Seas he's enjoying is he likes taking those big ships. And I understand what Warlord did with the small scale with the motorboats.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like it has to be a little bit bigger scale going to the battleships and taking it to that combined arms.
Are they going? I thought it was like light cruisers and that was it.
Yeah. You can go up to a destroyer, I think.
Yeah. Let's not get bigger than that because I have that Japanese minesweeper. And it's funny because your son said, you know what a minesweeper does? And I thought he said mime sweeper. And I was trying to pun him out. And he's like, it lays mines and it clears mines. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought you said anyway. But well, he knows.
We won't say how long we had to distinguish what a mine is.
Does he know what a mine is?
Now, but he was calling them bombs. I'm like, they're not bombs.
Well,
They're not the same.
He's not 100% wrong.
Not, but
It's an explosive device.
It's a minesweeper. He would call it a bomb layer. I want to play with the bomb layer. I'm like,
He's dropping bombs. And that's it. I mean, and that is a. Have you played that?
No.
Does it sound interesting to you? You don't know how to swim, do you?
I do.
Okay.
Just not good, but I do know how to swim.
it has a different feel to it. You take little ships versus bigger ships. But remember, your bigger ships can sink by torpedoes.
And the Japanese torpedoes are really deadly. I have the Japanese and those little like boats, and it's like the scale between like a USPT boat and then like those little Japanese boats.
It's just
I tell you what, maybe a little bit of a turn off for me, maybe a little bit, because you see the German E-boats and the British MTBs, and you figure, oh, that's all in scale. And then the USPT boats, there's two of them, I believe, and they're going to come out with more. But then the Japanese are so a little smaller, and then the sampans, it's like, the hell?
why am I sailing this ship?
Yeah, why am I
Doesn't
sailing
feel-
this ship?
It's like they had to find something in that scale for that conflict.
Yeah.
But
And-
if they go to the larger, like 1/600 scales, you can go a little bit bigger. I have high hopes for Black Seas.
yeah, Black Sea. So little about Black Seas is out right now. And let's look at sailing games, if we can, here for a little bit. Sailing games have been, since wargaming has been created, the first war game ever done at a convention 100 years ago was probably dudes playing Napoleonics and dudes playing sailing ships, because they didn't have airplanes back then. And Napoleonics is still alive and well, but you look at sailing ship games, and we had Sails of Glory for a while, which was wildly... Have you played that?
No, I've seen it. It's on my dream list.
And let me tell you something, you're going to have to wait till somebody who owns it dies, because it's hard to find the core rules. And there was some problems with it, but who doesn't love playing sailing ships? Coming out by the end of the year, you're going to have Oak and Iron from Firelock Games, which I'm into for $280, Mike Tunes. And then you have Black Sails, which, despite the fact that John Russell is very leaky with stuff, I know it's Napoleonic era ships of sail. That's about it.
Yeah, I was hoping they were going to release more from Warlord Day.
Yeah.
But some of the pictures were awesome, and the talk didn't quite reveal as much as I had hoped. So I'm hoping it's Cruel Seas like. And the one thing I took away is it's like it seems it's a pick your own game, because they were talking about they'll have the base rules and then a whole bunch of advanced rules you can choose to use. Which Cruel Seas has it because anyone who plays boat action, you don't pre-measure. Cruel Seas, you technically can do either.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. French, British, probably U.S. But you know that first thing, it's a British company. So you know what's going to come out first.
British.
It's going to be British against French. I like to kind of see it. Those guys, they don't have too many misses with their games. And the fact that there's not a lot said about it, I'm thinking it's good. Because from the time we heard about Cruel Seas to the time we got it in our hands, and I remember seeing a pre-release of it, and I'm like, hey, man, there's a lot of typos in here. Hope this didn't go to press. And when I got the book, yeah, a lot of them were in there. So let's hope that they're taking time and making a perfect game. There's no such thing as a perfect game because of gamers. And I'm excited for that one. Hopefully we'll see it by the end of the year.
So, James, we got off boat action and you went quiet. So, here's a question.
I was noticing that too.
For me, you've heard of X-Wing and Star Wars Armada, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, when most people come to me and like, which one would you recommend? X-Wing is checkers.
Yes.
Armada is chess.
Agree.
That's how I compare it. To me, boat action is very much a chess-like game.
Right.
Because it's
Oh, yeah,
how
it's
you
definitely chess.
So, the aspect of Armada I like, you can't move your unit wherever you want. Do you like the restricted movement, or do you rather be able to move anywhere in that bubble? And what I mean is, when we're moving infantry, I can move 12 inches. I can move that tape measure whichever way I want and get there. But a ship only turns a certain degree at a certain speed.
Right.
Do you like that restriction, do you think?
Well, I've played X-Wing a little. I'm not as big. I've only have like 3 Rebel and 3 Empire. I do kind of like that aspect. I think maybe bolt action could come out with that with the tanks for like a little bit more realistic turn while they're moving instead of having to do pivot rules.
Yeah.
So it's like if I want to move my Sherman tank and not have to do a pivot and expose my side all the way, to have that kind of like measure.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that, and you're very good at getting the answers out of him. I wonder what you do for a living.
I am a teacher.
Well, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. No, but that's a good question. And as you look, your dad knows a lot of degenerate gamers. In a good way, if you ever want to try these. But yeah, it's Cruel Seas. It's the beer and pretzel aspect of the pre-measuring, and then like how does this work with the? It's ingenious. I don't know. It just doesn't scratch an itch for me.
Yeah, I still go back. I think it's the scale. The scale of the combat. The coastal system is awesome.
Yeah.
But short of it being Japanese and Americans, I'm like, this happened in the British? What?
And then the Italians and the Russians are coming, and
I had to do some like, were these really a thing? That's what I had to go do.
I think everything that's in the game is a thing.
Yeah.
Well, the guy, I don't know if were you at Historicon?
No, I was at Cold Wars.
So the guy that really is like, looks like he's the guy that does it on their rolling team. I forgot the guy's name. This dude is big, and he's a really nice guy, but he's a big dude. I wouldn't say like I didn't enjoy the game. I go, I love the game very much, sir. But no, I was honest with him and John and said, I love naval games. It just didn't scratch my itch. I like the bigger engagements. And I really wanted the PT boat experience, but I realized that was PT boats, U.S. PT boats against Japanese destroyers and transports. The game just didn't have that, so it will.
And it has an issue with, I think, balanced point competitive play.
Yeah.
I have messed around with the veteran aspect, and that is just one of my concerns, because if I'm paying 25 points more in bolt action, I'm not getting a lot for it with the veterans. But in Cruel Seas, and it's a D10 system, which makes it really easy, but if I got 5 guns on my ship,
right,
each gun gets 20% better.
Yeah.
Every gun is 20% better to hit. Your torpedoes become 1/6 better to hit. You have 1/6 better to cancel a critical effect.
Oh, so instead of getting the +1 to die, you get the +1 to even hit the enemy.
Yeah, it's all over the place for 25 points.
So we're going to have to do a Cruel Seas night. And maybe I'll get back into it. And I think that's a lot of it, too. Like, degenerate gamers, we buy a lot of games. And I was honest with John, too. Like, Blood Red Skies, didn't really care for it at first. When I started kind of saying, I'll collect the airplanes because I'm a junkie. Then Big Alley came out, and I can't stop playing. I play it with my 12-year-old son all the time. So maybe it needs to grow on me. And that's something like, I think a lot of gamers out there that are listening know that. Like, they'll hate games, but eventually we could talk them into playing and hopefully move on. Well, I think these guys are wrapping up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break and come back. But, Matt, first of all, thank you so much for putting this on, and thank the guys here at Captain Chuck's Comics. What's their website?
Not much of a website, but it's CaptainChucksComics.com.
And I will put a link on this, and when this podcast comes out, we're gonna send it back to Sean in the studio and be right back.
I want to give a shout out to Mitch. Thanks for everything you did.
No, I just showed up and ate a lot.
John, Russell, I appreciate what you did for us. And another one I'm going to shout out to is Samuel Dollar. He's out in the Midwest, and we have not met yet, but we've had a good relationship through Facebook, and he's given me a lot of moral support.
Just like, you and I talking, too, because, you said well, that's Mitch. And I'm like, oh, my God, what did I do? Is there pictures? But it's, one of the things that you'll love about this is a community, and it's a community of like-minded people with a lot of spare income. But it is a community, and helping guys out, I think that's the beauty of it, and I am happy to be here. All right, well, before we turn back to Sean, you guys have anything to say?
Just like you said, it's a community. As a beginner, I can play against someone who's been, like, a few weeks ago, I played against someone who almost knew all of the rules by
That man is called a liar.
Well, no, I've even checked the rule book, and he was actually accurate. But he was patient with me because that was only my second game, and he actually walked me through the steps.
And we did that too,
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah. Don't tell your dad, like, oh, he clubbed me like a seal. So, no, it was fun playing against you. And then, we'll probably hear from Matt later. I would love to get his videos on our site. So, if you guys want to see more of him, I will send you links to give a plug.
So, a little thing I started years ago that we didn't do until recently is Dice of the Round Table.
I love that name.
So it is exactly what we've always imagined. Love medieval times, love King Arthur legends. So I'm on YouTube. I also have a Facebook page that is kind of my hobby blog. So I usually post on there what I'm doing and how I'm doing.
If it's with your permission, I'll put a link when this comes out to that too.
No problem. Go ahead.
What was the name of that movie that was filmed near here about guys that dressed up in Dark Con? Have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh, we're going to talk after this.
Okay.
All right, I'm sending it back to Sean, and we'll be right back. Hey, and we're back, and I am here with today's winner. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Murga. Steve, how you doing? How's it feel? How does it feel to win today?
Hi, how's everything? Good.
It is.
It's okay. It's good.
So tell us about your winning force today.
I think it had to do a lot with
Who are you wearing?
with dice.
It had to do with no. What were you running today?
Americans, infantry focused American Army.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it was like kind of we played last week as a tune-up, and is playing with a guy like me. Does it make the tune-up that much better to go and win a tournament?
Sure. Absolutely.
That's such a lie. That is such a lie. So you played 3 games. You played 2 guys with the last name of Carroll.
That's correct.
And then you went into the last game, and you had to attack lengthwise across the table with your American force, and you were playing up against Russians.
That's correct.
What happened?
Well, there were a few lucky strikes in there. So I realized that.
The cigarettes.
Second?
The cigarettes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I understood that I have to get across as fast as possible, knowing that I had some open terrain that I will have to go across that was going to hurt me. But my opponent did put both of his armor units in front. So I was lucky enough that on my first and second turn, I would knock them out with my tank. So at that point, I was free to go across, and then really well timed airstrike took out one of his platoons, or pretty much knocked him out. So at the end of the day, he was almost gone on his first sector of defense, and then he forfeited because there was nothing much he could do. I had my tank, and he had no armor units left, and nothing that could hurt the tank. So
so we've been here all day, and you're tired, and it didn't seem like you really wanted to play in that championship round. Well, how do you feel now?
I'm okay. That's
okay.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad I stayed.
You glad you stayed?
Yeah.
Do you feel like Tom Brady right now?
No.
You-
No, because I'm not going back home to Giselle.
Giselle.
Giselle. So not quite.
Let's hope your wife does not listen to this. But no, it was well played. What do you think of the missions today? Because these were not normal missions from the rule book.
I did not know that. I thought there were missions from the rule book. So kudos to the organizer, because they seem balanced, and they seem, especially the last one, it was quite complicated, different deployment zones, different sectors, but he felt that it was well balanced. So no issues with the missions. They were all fun.
Well, it was job well done, and I wish I would have come over and watched. And we were still playing our game. So with the winner here, we have the guy that didn't finish in first, and Matt Carroll. Matt, say hi. Matt is the dad of your son. Was already on the podcast. You want to know what he said about you?
Not really.
You don't?
No.
He said a lot of good things.
Great.
He said how you guys got into the game. So how was your day today? You got to put it up against the mouth. There you go. Go ahead. Oh, wait, we can't even hear him. What's going on here? Hello? Oh. Yeah, you have to keep yours on. Hello? All right, go ahead.
Is this working now?
Yeah, it's totally working.
right.
What's up?
Okay, so what was the question again?
How was
do
your
I
day?
feel?
How was
Oh,
your
it
day
good.
here? You look tired.
It's a long day.
It's a long day.
You know, I was up till like 3 a.m. painting because
I noticed.
Yeah. I had to get that. I had to get that base coat. On the.
And your stuff looked base coated.
Yeah.
It's that. So you were running Africa Core today.
Yes. And I have a field gray Africa Core.
You do.
So,
you do. And you run it with a Puma, which is very historic.
Yes.
And Hanamag.
Yeah, it was a prototype.
It was prototype.
Yeah.
So I see you got some more DAC here. Is these DACs?
Yes, they are.
So would you change your list?
I don't. I haven't been playing long enough to figure it out. I would say that I just need to get better in the game to understand.
I thought your list was pretty good.
The rules.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily even what I'm running, but the tactics. So I just have a little more work to do. But it was an enjoyable day.
You're coming back for more.
I enjoy coming out and just taking a break from real life.
Yeah, real life sucks.
Yeah. But no, it's a fun afternoon. And Matt did a fantastic job.
Matt did.
Things.
He did. And, I'll tell you what, he is the MVP of today. And then, you brought your son out. And sometimes that is the guy I'm missing. Oh, somebody found him, too. It's my Sosabowski. With getting your son to game, that could sometimes be like you're creating a monster there. Do you enjoy gaming with him? Do you guys practice in the house?
We are in the still building phase. So we are both rushing to make the deadline to come into a tournament. We haven't had the chance to actually game other than a couple Flames of War games, maybe a year plus ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's been kind of sitting on the shelf ever since we found Bold Action. And so now we are trying to figure out, okay, we've got our armies. Now let's go ahead and
paint
pull
them.
up some room in the basement and have a couple games. And
it's the best way to practice.
Yeah.
Because he's playing with these Americans. You got your DACs. Matter of fact, I see one of your DAC tokens over there from here. Eagle Eye Bitch. But we'll get that afterwards. A few things, too, from just looking around. One is a lot of diverse armies here. We had Russians, we had Germans, we had Americans, we have British. That's kind of what I like about the game. Everybody plays. It's not by theater, so everybody can play a bunch of different stuff. I dig that. Now, one thing I want to ask Steve that he said before, you don't like the dice activation mechanic.
That is my issue with the game, yes.
Why is it an issue with the game?
I feel there is too randomized, and you lack control, and it could affect the game to the point that it seems to play an unfair advantage on whoever pulls 3 or 4 of their own.
So if you pulled 4 in a row, you'd be all right with that, or no?
No, not quite. I wish so. Everybody here knows Blood and Plunder.
Yes.
It has a randomized activation to it, but you can influence that by a decision-making process. So you could choose a card that gives you more activations, but it's going to activate later, versus a card that is going to give you less activations, but you're going to activate first. And I think it still has a random aspect to it because you don't know if you're going to beat your opponent, but it gives it equalizes a little bit the board. I believe that the mechanics for this game are a bit too randomized. It's too random to. But it's not. It's not a huge issue. It's just not.
So all this said, you still had a good time.
I did. I had a great time. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, that's good. And I think we're going to wrap it up because they want to close. We've been here like all day. They're going to be tired of us by now.
Well,
I think they're tired of us.
I think they're already.
Go ahead, Matt.
I think they're already closed.
Oh, they are?
We're just in the back room.
Okay, because I have to do some shopping. But we're going to close it out here from first of all, congratulations, Steve.
Thank you
on your victory, Matt. Even though it wasn't a hot day, you did get the new Korea book. Go ahead.
Yes, I did.
You did. You got the new Korea book, and I think you're going to enjoy that book.
I'm going to cherish it.
I would cherish it.
Signed by one of the.
My name is as I proofread it.
Yes.
Which reading is really hard for me. I'm not a good reader. But the big thing too is I want to thank Captain Chuck. Is that I'm saying it right? Captain Chuck's Comics in Essex, Maryland. Thank you guys. You guys were amazing hosts. I also want to give a big thank out to Matt. And, I think we're going to see more of Matt holding tournaments. And then we're going to come and do Blood and Plunder here in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And I don't know about you. I am exhausted, so you better make sure I stay awake on the way home. and I had a good time. But we're going to wrap it up, send it back to the studio. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Captain Chucks. Congratulations to both you guys, because if you finish first or you finish last, you're still winners in my book. All right, we're going to send it back to Sean in the studio.
Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. Remember to follow us on Twitter at No Dice, No Glory, and keep the conversation going on NoDiceNoGlory.com, now featuring our own message boards. Have a great night, everybody.